मुदा भूयात् भारतपङ्कजं कलिमल प्रध्वंसेन श्रेयसे मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम् यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैः स्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तन्न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै नमः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Parashara, Parasharya. This is beauty of Sanskrit. Parashara is the name of the person. Parasharya means what? Parashara means of, belonging to, son of. And Parasharya means belonging to Parashara's son. Now, so who is Parashara's son? Ayyo, where to go now? Suddenly this fellow is introduced, Vyasa. It's all about Vyasa. That is the verse we are on, correct? Yeah. So Vyasa's words, Parasharya Vachaha. You know, let's look at it. Parasharya Vachaha Sarojam Amalam Gita Artha Gandhotkata, which is all very beautiful imagery, like the one we saw about the cows. This is and then we saw about that the water of warfare, the river of war, right? Yeah. So now, the Mahabharata, let us look at this properly here. So, where is the subject here? You know, Bhuyat Bharata Bhuyat Naha Shreyase. May something, what is to be revealed, Bhuyat. May it be Naha for us, fourth case, for our good. Naha Shreyase. Ma no Naha, me no Naha. Alternative forms for, Asmabhyam. Yeah, so not Asmakam. So fourth case. May this be for our good. What be our good? Bharata Pankajam Bhuyat. We just keep adding to that. What is this Bharata Pankajam? The lotus in the form of the Mahabharata, may it be for our good. How will it be for our good? Because the lotus is Amalam. Mala means dirt. Yeah, no, you're confusing with jala. Yeah. Mala is dirt. So the word mala is also there in this, but here in this verse, but first we are looking at amala. So this Bharata Pankaja, the Pankat Jayate iti Pankaja, that which is born in mala. Panka means sludge. Pankat Jayate, this lotus is always born in some horrible sludge which it is untouched by. So the lotus becomes a very overused and a favorite metaphor for Vedantins, because that's the only thing that you can illustrate Atma while living in samsara is unaffected by samsara. So they have lotuses and lilies proliferate these verses. So here, that's why I translated this Shakuni business in the earlier Gandhara Nilotpala as those clingy water hyacinths. Yeah. Because the lotus let us reserve for Atma. So, what kind of lotus? Amalam Pankajam. See, it rhymes. If it rhymes, it's in apposition. Amalam Pankajam. So, may this Mahabharata be for our good. May this lotus of the Mahabharata work for our good. How? Because it is a Amalam Pankajam. And this Amalam Pankajam is an antidote. Amalam means without malam. Yeah. It's an antidote for mala. Where is mala? Just right next to Pankajam. Kalimala. So you see how beautiful it is. The Amalam Pankajam, to which the Mahabharata is compared. The Mahabharata is like this taintless lotus. And what is that? That is an antidote to the mala of what? Kali. What is Kali? Kali Yuga. Yes. So reading the Mahabharata with all the archetypes that we talked about yesterday is actually an antidote for the Kali Yuga. It's the Pradvamsi, destroyer of the mala of Kali Yuga, this taintless lotus in the form of the what? Mahabharata is the destroyer of the dirt. Dirt means what? Kama, Krodha, Roha, Raga, Dvesha, Kama, Krodha. These are the rogas, Bhava Roga. It's the destroyer of Kali Mala. And in Kali Yuga, they say that the Raga Dveshas, we see this, are on the rise. Yeah. Small things get offensive. Everybody gets defensive. And one doesn't have flexibility. That is Kali Yuga. It's not anything goes, I have to have it a certain way, otherwise I'm not okay. This we find a lot. And looks like Kali Yuga is more advanced in the West, So this Mahabharata lotus, which is growing in the sludge of samsara, but unaffected, because Vyasa did not fall down from the sky. That's why Parasharya, he was born of Parashara is written. Father's name is written. So he was living here, and it's not that he had some, he needed to take time out and go to a cave and write. No, surrounded by all the din and the noise, he wrote the Mahabharata, and this Mahabharata is this lotus is a spotless, flawless piece of writing in which the Gita is there. And may this flawless, taintless, spotless lotus in the form of the Mahabharata Nahashreyase Bhuyat, and may it be for our good. How? By becoming a Kali Pradvamsi. Yeah, the destroyer of Kali Mala Pradvamsi, by destroying the malas of Kali Yuga. And even though we are attributing the mala to Kali Yuga, who is having it? The people in Kali Yuga, including the person who is reading it. So therefore, the Mahabharata, may it destroy my ragadveshas. Of me living in Kali Yuga. Correct? Yeah. How will the Mahabharata destroy your ragadveshas? I mean, you don't need to read every single page of Duryodhana's biography to feel slightly sick. Correct? Yeah. Because when you read about him, because his psychological characteristics, his psychological profile starts at the age of 6. When he was discovered by the servants in the palace wringing the neck of small animals just for the sake of killing them. This is a very bad thing. If any child is seen doing this, I mean, this is the psychopathic, sociopathic tendencies. It's one thing if you're in a royal family and you kill for the, go on a hunting trip. That is also problematic. But at least it was a sport that everybody was doing in a group. Not like you just take some small defenseless animals like bunnies and squirrels who don't harm, and he was found, killing them slowly. He would not kill them, in the hunt even in the hunt you have compassion. Even in the hunt you just hit it so that one arrow hits it and it doesn't suffer. Just because you have some kind of a, bloodthirsty idea of sport, game. But here, he was found torturing small animals, and all the servants used to complain and nobody paid attention. Father blind. This is all allegorical. And the mother, stupid lady, instead of saying, I will be your eyes and ears and raise our children, especially if you are going to have 101 of them, she said, oh, if you, my lord, cannot see, I will also not see. And on the day of the marriage, she had her maids put a big patti, one band on her eyes. Stupid lady lived like that till she died. Yes. She was from Afghanistan, Kandahar. Yes. That was Gandhara Pradesha. Gandhari. Very interesting, because she just covered her eyes, and then as an interesting irony, so many years later, the Taliban uncovers only the eyes, the rest is covered. Bhagavan must have a sense of humor. What kind of parda? Parda means really only the eyes, and that too they have little, bars and mesh on the eyes. And only that is open. Here, that's the only thing that is closed. Same region, yeah. And must have, she and Panini, they all came from that same, Panini was from Pakistan. Huh?
Takshila?
No, a little, somewhere, you knew the name. Probably Takshila, I don't know, someplace. Yeah. Lahore, somewhere outside of Lahore. So like this, no eye contact with the parents, no encouragement. And so if these tendencies are there, only the parents will see. Other people cannot see this. So if you read a few chapters of his biography, you just feel so sick, you are, put off. How are you put off? You are put off because you don't want anyone to be like this. You certainly don't want to be like this. So the negative stereotypes function to put you off in the Mahabharata. The positive stereotypes make you strive to be inspired to be like them. They inspire you to be like them. And in so doing, so Mahabharata acts like aversion therapy to certain ragas and dveshas. Makes you have dvesha for certain ragas. It acts like aversion therapy in the case of Shakuni and all these Duryodhana, these baddies. And then it acts as a role model and inspires you to imbibe the qualities of Yudhishthira. And people like Yudhishthira, to be brave as Arjuna, to be as strong as Bhima. These are all the things you get. So in that sense it is a Kali Pradvamsi, this Mahabharata, and Kalimala Pradvamsi. And also they say that, and the Bhagavad Gita in particular is being a treatise on dharma. Dharma is the antidote to Ragadvesha. So in that sense also it is Kali Pradvamsi. And because it is Kali Pradvamsi, Nahashreyase Bhuyat, this is a prayer. So being a Pradvamsi of the Kali Yuga, may it function to further our good. And Shreyas here is moksha, that's the most exalted good. But here I don't think it means moksha, it means just our even relative good, dharma, adharma. Let us learn to distinguish and let us learn to see all the horrible consequences of adharma and let us stay away from adharma because of this. This is what the Bharata Pankajam does. Mahabharata, the lotus of Mahabharata does. Where is the lotus of Mahabharata growing? What is feeding it? Parasharya Vachas Sarojaha. Yes. So where is this spotless lotus growing? In the waters which are the words. The waters of the sun, words of the son of Parashara. So beautiful. So Vyasa's words, which flow like water, because remember he was dictating it to Ganesha, who barely had time to sharpen his tusk before he started to become a scribe. So the lotus of the Mahabharata is growing, nurtured by the waters of the words, the poetic and the beautiful, irreplaceable words of Vyasa, which are the fertile ground for this lotus to grow. And the words are spotless, the water is clear, therefore the lotus is of the best quality, taintless and spotless. The words are flawless. So the flawless water words, flawless words that flow like water, in them is born this beautiful lotus. What for? What are we going to do this? Oh, what are, so what? Okay, may that be for our good, but why create this lotus? And then the lotus metaphor continues. And if the Mahabharata is the lotus, what is the fragrance? Bhagavad Gita, Gita Artha, not just the Bhagavad Gita, the meaning, the essence. You see, the essence becomes the scent. The essence of the Bhagavad Gita is the scent of this lotus that cannot be kept in one time and in one place. It cannot be hoarded, this is just in India. No, fragrance has a way of wafting. Hare Krishna's discovered this. The Bhagavad Gita had made it so famous. Whether they understood it or not, we don't know, but they made it very famous. And, it went all over. There is a Hare Krishna temple, ISKCON temple in Russia where nothing thrives. This is thriving. Yeah. Archbishop of Russia had a problem with the ISKCON temple. Archbishop of Russia said, what is this? One black god sitting there. Because Krishna is dark. And this black god sitting there. And this iconography. The Russian Orthodox Church could not handle all this. So he wrote one letter. So we also wrote 4 or 5 letters. Swamiji wrote one letter. So many people wrote letters. Then Archbishop said, I'm only looking bad. I better keep quiet. Don't say anything about this black god. It's very interesting. I met the fellow who objected, not to him, but another one, his successor, I think. He's no longer in the office. And they were all black from head to toe. Black hat coming like this. Black big collar and little bit face seeing, black full sleeve, full gown, black, pitch black. Black necklace with black cross, everything is black. And he had a problem with little Krishna being black. Funny are the ways of the theologians. I have never understood them. So, this Gitartha Gandha, Utkata means that which has spread, which has wafted and which has disseminated itself. That scent which the lotus held is wafting all over the universe. And everybody is saying, what is this wonderful scent? We can't help it. Where is this coming from? It's an addictive scent. Why? Because it is the scent of you. And you are the bloodhound in pursuit of this scent. Every jiva is the bloodhound. You don't have to be Hindu, you don't have to be Indian to study the Gita. All you have to do is you want to sniff out the truth of yourself. That's all you need. You just want to sniff out the truth of yourself. And truth cannot be hidden. That's why the Gita is the scent. It's not the petal, it's not the leaf, it's not the lily pad. You know? Gita pad, iPad, it is it is the scent. Why? You cannot capture it. Yeah. It goes everywhere, wherever there are connoisseurs. The connoisseurs of this scent. The people who delight in this scent. You cannot keep them away from the knowledge. From the truth seeker, the Gita cannot be kept away. Yeah, this is what the whole thing is. Just like the smell, you cannot lock it up in a can, It will escape and it will tell. It will tell the tale. Yes, there are pakodas in this dabba. You may have closed you may have closed the dabba because suddenly you saw some people coming into the house. And you didn't want to share hot pakodas on a rainy day. So you closed the dabba quickly because before they rang the bell it should be there, and you shoved it into the closet and closed the door. What is it? As soon as they come in, what do they say? What's that scent? Pakodas? Where? You don't even have to tell them where it is. No, it's not in the cupboard. That's where the smell is coming from. It's not under my bed. That's where the smell, they will trace it back to where you have hidden it. Yeah, it's not under my bed. Honest. Well, that's where it is. Because the smell does not lie. So too the scent of not just the Gita, the meaning of the Gita, which is what? You are that which is holy. Tannishtha, tatparayanaha. You are that which all the sages have really worked hard to discover and be committed to that tat. You are that tat. You are the meaning of that tat. You are that Rajaguhyam. You are that Rajavidya. You are that royal knowledge. The king of knowledges, the king of secrets. You are that. You are what you seek. This body is like a rag. Most of the bodies, they just wear out, tear out. But you are the wearer, and you just don a new body, that's all. You are not affected by time. No weapon can kill you. Nothing can destroy you. This is the scent. And it's an addictive scent. Because Kali Mala is the stink of Kali Yuga. Horrible stink of rotting Ragadveshas. Why rotting Ragadveshas? Because none of them can be fulfilled. So they keep in storage and rot, and you keep piling and rotting karma phala. The karma phala rots, definitely, that's why it's called phala. Phalgutaya liyate iti phalam. That which rots is called phalam. That which is subject to rotting, sends you trotting in the other direction because you cannot handle it. So Kali Mala is the stink of Kali Yuga, piled on high with smelly Ragadveshas. What is that? Individual Ragadveshas that are so smelly you cannot handle it. Malodorous Ragadveshas, collective Ragadveshas of greed, of desire, of corporations killing one another in order to this thing, in order to strive for more money. And the stink of somebody getting rich, of Somebody getting stinking rich off of the backs of the people who have not even a stitch to wear on their backs. And the stench of exploitation of the poor and of people in need. And the inequality, the strife, the people being just ground under dictatorial regimes. I mean, the stench on the collective level is just, you feel like running away, you don't know where to run to. And in this stench, you suddenly smell this wondrous smell. Ah, where? Oh, not you. Ah, oh, that one. Where? That is the smell of the essence of the meaning of the words of the Gita, wafting in the air. Emanating from the slowly blossoming, budding lotus, spotless, flawless lotus of the Mahabharata, nurtured by, authored by the words of Vyasa. May that erase the stink of Kali Yuga. May that gandha of the Bhagavad Gita Artha, the meaning is the scent. May that scent just overpower so much that it erases the stench of Kali Yuga. This is the prayer for our good, so that we can at least breathe without a sense of dis-ease. Yeah, the stench also makes one sick. That's why everyone is fainting because of this smell, because of Kali Yuga. But here is this antidote in the form of this wonderful gandha. And may that gandha pervade the universe and overpower this smell. It's not easy to cover up stench. Yeah. You can't just spray perfume on some rotting vegetables and hope that everything will go well. It's not going to go. But the Gita works. The Gita in the form of the fragrance works because it is truly the antidote to Ragadvesha, the stink of Ragadveshas. That is what the thing is. Even the person who nurtures Ragadveshas is sick of their smell. Yeah. Doesn't want it ultimately, or really speaking. They want the truth of that. And so, who is going to benefit from this smell? Everybody? No. Only the Sat Janas. Loke, in this universe, is everybody going to be attracted to this smell? Briefly, perhaps. They'll come for one class out of curiosity. Oh, Gita is being taught every day? Let me log in. Oh, let me pop in. And then after that, what? Because the stench overpowers again. So, in order to enjoy a smell, one needs highly developed olfactory nerves. Yes. Otherwise, some people cannot even smell. Rose attar, which is so expensive. You have to crush like 10,000 roses to get, 1/4 of an ounce of attar, this true absolute rose oil. And you have to distill it. There are all these pipettes and things, and then the steam is sent, and that little rose oil, one drop, climbs with the help of the stream through this glass pipe and rests in this little chamber, and there another steam is sent, and then it, what is that? No, after evaporation, condensation. So then the condensation happens, and everybody is waiting to catch that condensation because that's the second grade rose water. Even that is expensive. But then this absolute, this one drop of oil, which is minuscule, you need a magnifying glass to look at it, travels through something as it's a huge production. Then finally it comes out and it's bottled up. And then it costs thousands of dollars, hundreds of dollars, if not thousands. And then you put it under the nostrils of this ignoramus. Yeah, it's nice. You feel like giving this expensive attar. You feel like biffing the fellow. What? Whether you have made it or paid for it. No aesthetics. You put this expensive thing. Yeah, it's okay. What a waste. To put it under your nose even was a big papa karma, was a big mistake on my part. You Philistine, you uncultured one. You see what I'm saying? So the scent of Gita is like that. I'm enjoying myself. So, the scent of Gita is also like that. It is not for everybody. You have to have highly developed what? Antakarana nerves, not olfactory nerves. Yeah, this is the nose, it has nothing to do with the nose or the toes. That was in the example. But in that which is exemplified, what do you need? Is a highly Shuddha Antakarana. A roomy and a clear what? Inner instrument. The mind and the heart and the faculty of knowing has to be clear of all the burdening clutter and the stench of ragadveshas. So you have to air out the antakarana, you have to sweep out the ragadveshas, you have to mop, you have to spray some Shraddha deodorizer. Yes, and you air it out. And then this attar, what is that? Pankaj attar of this lotus attar comes wafting in the and the smell of the fragrance of the Gita comes calling. The fragrance of the Gita arrives with its calling card. If you like what you smell, come visit me. Come to me. So it appeals only to the Satjanaha in the Loke. Yeah. Loke, in Asmin Loke, here. Not some, this is not an afterlife lotus, that to smell it I have to die. No, right here. Jivan eva, while alive, in this world. Iha loke eva. Sat janaha. And who are these Sat janas? The ones with a clear heart. A heart that is unburdened, by adharma, raga, dvesha, kama, krodha, bhavaroga, all these things. All these things it is unburdened by. And for such hearts, who are these people? They are the Shatpadis. They are the little 6-footed ones. Oh, 6-footed? 1, 2 feet. Where are the other 4? Yeah? Yeah, I know that's where you will go. But before that, what comes to the flower? Bee. How many feet does the bee have? 6. Shatpadi is the little 6-footed ones with yellow stripes. That is the ones we are talking about. Yeah, yellow jacket, 6-footed ones, the bees. So just like the bees make a big beeline for the flower. And this Gita Mahabharata flower, which teaches, which has the Gita fragrance. And what is the fragrance? Just be as you are. You just be as you are. And all these Sajjana bees, cleaning their feet. That's what the bee does. It keeps going like this. So cleaning their hands and washing their hands and feet, come to partake of the nectar. Yes, the nectar is the vision and the pollen of the flower is the way of life. The two are ingested together. These happy bees with their happy feet rubbing, talking to each other, doing Brahmari. Did you like that? Ooh, this is the best flower. And then one, older bee says that it is like the flower of the Chandogya flower also tastes similar. Another one who's been around says, you haven't tasted the Brihadaranyaka flower. It's even better. Okay, don't show off. Drink now. And the nectar itself is what? Muda, joy. They drink of this nectar, attracted by the essence of the words of the Gita, the meaning. They come, drink deeply. These joyous people joyously drink of the nectar of the Gita. And 6, of course, if you are extrapolating, you can say Shamadhama, Shatka Sampatti Yuktaha Janaha. So these Sat Jana, they are what? These Sat Janas, Sat people who are committed to Sat, people who have Shuddha Antakaranas and people who have Shamadama, the preparation for the knowledge, preparation of the art of taking in the fragrance they have, and they come, you can say, or you can say that 5 senses, and then 6th is the intellect. This is what. So equipped with the 5 senses plus 1 extra, more than what the bee has, the intellect, because that is needed. The cognitive Shakti is needed to imbibe this essence. And so they all come. Loke sajjana shatpadaihi. When do they come? Ahaha, ahaha. Ahaha means day. Ahaha again means another day. So in other words, day by day, day after day, every day they come. Day by day they come. In drones they come. Loke sajjana shatpadaihi. By these shatpadis in this world, what? Pepiyamanam muda, drinking joyously. Drinking joyously of its essence. And then they spread the pollen. They in turn become the teachers of dharma. And then if they make honey, that means they are, writing books on the Upanishad. Yeah, it is again benefiting the world later on. Benefiting those lazy bees who had done lot of punya but did not go. They came and stole the honey. They came directly to the honey. They didn't make the honey. And that's what it is. Even in the bee colony, this queen bee has very good karma. Nothing she does. She just sits. And all these worker bees, they just work as though their life depended on it. Some of them make those combs, honey combs. Others fill up the combs with honey. Drop by drop they bring, they cull all the wonderful, essences of the flowers. And they bring it. And she just sits. All for her. This is what it is. And so some bees are like the queen bees. They will not go anywhere near the flower. So for them, these bees, the worker bees in the form of the teachers, humming along, they not only drink joyously, but they leave behind honey for others to come. So you see, this is a beautiful, it even hints at the parampara. You can read a lot of things into it. So the honey parampara, clover parampara, orange parampara, there is clover honey, orange honey, all these honeys. I like orange parampara. So, so they leave the honey for the centuries, because honey never goes bad. You can keep it for a century. Nothing will happen to it. As long as it's kept in an airtight container, it may crystallize. But then if you put it in hot water, if you put the container in hot water, it comes back. It never goes bad. That is how this knowledge is. It never grows old. It does not lose its essence. It does not go bad. And it can always be revived. Yeah, knowledge doesn't need to be put in hot water. The person is put in hot water, comes to the knowledge and is ready for the knowledge. Yes. Person is ready to thaw out and bask in the knowledge. This is what the whole thing is. So may this flower, and what is that? Sambodhana bodhitam. Oh, then one more thing. Nana akhyana kesara. Kesara means the stamens of this lotus. Excuse me. Stamens of this lotus. You know the stamen? Mm-hmm. What are they? The various stories of Hari. Hari Katha. Hari Katha Rupa Akhya. So the various stories of who? Hari, of the Lord, of Bhagavan. You cannot say Nana Khyanaka Kesara Duryodhana Katha. No, Duryodhana is a sidekick. Who cares about him? He is just a negative archetype. Who is the hero here? It's the Lord Krishna who stars in the Mahabharata. He is the true protagonist. And he is the one that is highlighted here. He is the star of the show. And all the akhyayika means stories. From kya to talk, to describe. So the descriptions, asamantat khyatihi, akhyatihi, akhya means to describe without leaving anything to the imagination, to describe completely. So these akhyayikas, these stories of Lord Hari, Hari's stories, Hari Katha, they are the stamens of the flower. In the bud in the lotus bud of the Mahabharata flower, the stamens are the various anecdotes of Bhagavan. How Bhagavan made this happen, how he eclipsed the Kauravas so that they forgot to fight, how he stopped getting, he stopped so many things from happening in the war. How he stopped Drona from charging by making Yudhishthira deliver the message in the megaphone on the top of the mound. Ashwathamo hataha narova kunjarova, he said quietly. Ashwathama has been killed. And if Krishna had said, Ashwathama is the son of Drona. And if Krishna had stood on the, mound and said, Ashwathamo hataha, they would have said, no one would have believed him. You go, you're just saying that because you want the war to stop. You want to break Drona. But who climbs and does this? Yudhishthira, the one who is incapable of telling anything but the truth. The eldest of the Pandavas. Drona believes him, he has an immediate heart attack right there. But Yudhishthira also fights with Krishna. He says, don't make me do all these bad things. But it is for the good. No. Don't make me do all these things. I am going to say immediately after that, Narova Kunjarova. Whether it's man or elephant, we don't know who has succumbed. Who is Hata, killed. We don't know who is killed, who has been the casualty. Because there was an elephant by the name of Ashwathama in the same war. This is karma. And Krishna says, all right, you can say that. But before he could say that, so he climbs and Krishna gives him some kind of a megaphone. Maybe it was a glorified conch shell, we don't know. So he gives him a megaphone which amplifies the voice. Ashwathamo hataha. And before he can loudly say Narova Kunjarova, he takes away that voice amplifying device. And so nobody hears the latter part. And Yudhishthira feels, at least I have told the truth. And then that brings a big pall on the war because Drona is broken. You see, these are the ways. So these are the stories of Hari. And they are the stamens, very essential for the pollination and for the fragrance. Because without Harikatha, there is no fragrance. There is no juice in the Mahabharata or the Gita. The Gita is all about who stars in the Bhagavad Gita. Lord Krishna as the teacher. And who stars in the Mahabharata? Lord Krishna as Bhagavan, as teacher, as statesman, as diplomat, as a war administrator, as a consoler, as a strategizer. He is the one. So these Harikathas, what they do, the power of these Harikathas, Sambodhana Bodhitam. Each time one talks about Harikatha to someone else, makes the Mahabharata lotus open a little more, come into full bloom. Why? It becomes famous. Oh, where did you hear this story? In the Mahabharata. Oh, another story. Where did you hear that? In the Mahabharata. So you cannot talk about the stamen without talking about the flower. So when you talk about the stories of Lord Hari, you are constrained to say where you got this from. You are constrained to say where you got it from. And therefore what? You say Mahabharata. And when you say Mahabharata, what happens? It becomes bigger. It becomes bigger. Beautiful. So lovely. It's just fantastic. And so that is how. And the bees drink of the nectar. The bees pollinate the Gita. The bees drink of the scent of the meaning of the Gita. And the bees become the teachers. And then what happens to the bees? They make honey for the rest of the generations of people to come. Isn't that fantastic? Really beautiful. Very, very nice. But out of this verse, I like the scent of the meaning of the word Gita contrasted with the stench of Kali Yuga the best. Yes. So this is all, I hope I have covered all the words. Have I? Yeah. Yeah, I think we have done that. Pe piyamana, I told you, drinking. Yeah. So in order to drink, you have to have the right kind of thinking to be drinking. This essence, the sweet, sweet essence. And so the next one. The next one is for Bhagavan Krishna in the form of that power of karma phala data, in the form of the one who gives karma phala and who returns to me my own prayer the results of my own prayer in the form of grace. Yeah, grace is really my own karma phala which I tap into through prayer, through awareness, through humility, through being in alignment. This is what grace is, not something that is dispensed from above. Grace is more like the groundwater. And your Shraddha, your prayers are the divining stick that makes it go up and down. When the diviner goes with the divining stick, the stick starts to shake. You see this, it's amazing. And he will say, dig right there. And it takes already a lot of grace to go where, to tap into this. And this is how it is, the transforming power of the Bhagavad Gita is given here. And what I need to have this grace amplified in my life is Shraddha. So Shraddha is highlighted. So who is this Bhagavan Krishna, whose katha makes the lotus of the Mahabharata blossom? He is the one, Mukam karoti vachalam. Vachalaha is one who is an orator, who doesn't stop talking, very eloquent, can talk his or her way out of any situation. So vachalo bhavati, who? Mukaha. Mukaha means what? The one who is incapable of talking. The silent one becomes an orator. The mute one, who doesn't even know how to string one sentence together, becomes an orator by whose grace. Pangu. Pangu means the lame fellow, disabled person. Langhayate girim. Yeah, crosses over the mountain, leaps over the mountain, through whose grace. And there is a song also like that. Darshana do Ghanashyam. And it says that, how does that go? Panchama sur mein gunga bole. Gunga means Mukha, Mukaha. Panchama Surma, he he sings in tune. Didn't even know how to talk before. But now he sings in tune, in Shruti. And then Langada, Chalkar, Pahuche Kashi. So the lame fellow leaps over all hurdles and ends up in Varanasi, in Kashi. How? Because of your grace. Dwar daya ka jab tu khole. When you open the doors of your compassion, Panchama sur mein gunga bole. The fellow who was mute starts singing in tune. Andha dekhe, the blind start to see. Langada chalkar pahuche kashi re, darshan do ghanashyam. Akhiyan pyasi re, beautiful song. My eyes are thirsting for your darshan. And who are you? You are the one whose grace knows no limits, no bounds. The mute one starts to talk. The other way also is there. Someone who is very talkative is rendered speechless. Yeah. And that is what Mukambika is all about. Goddess Mukambika. Muka, see that same thing. And there was one Kamhasura. There was one horrible Asura. Bad boy. And what did he do? They all go after Lord Shiva. Because Lord Shiva is very innocent and easily pleased. Yeah. Because he only appears when something should be destroyed and resolved. So he doesn't know much about the ways of the world. If anybody says everything of mine is yours, he says, oh, how nice. Here, take something more back. That's why Vishnu, who is in charge of Sthiti, Sthiti means not Laya, the sustenance, knows the ways of the world. Vishnu is extremely street smart and has had to rescue Shiva from many an embarrassing situation. And one such situation is the story of goddess Mukambika. So Kamasura comes and says, oh, Shiva, 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 none is like you. And he says that, he wants to say, I want world domination and I want you to burn right now so that the world is without Bhagavan. And if you are not there, who is there? Me. I become the Bhagavan. So I'm going to use my wish to off you. That is the wish he had. Bad boy, I told you. And then Vishnu quickly comes in the form of the goddess, or Vishnu sends goddess Mukambika. And she is not silent. She sits on his tongue. And all he can do is he cannot articulate because heavy goddess is sitting squarely on the tongue. She renders him mute. On the one hand, Mukam karoti vachalam. And this Vachalasura, who was already having all these plans of articulating his demonic tendencies, was rendered mute by the same grace of Krishna, of Vishnu. This is what the thing is. And Shiva said, oh, how sweet, you don't even want to ask anything. Gives him a hug and goes away. And then after Shiva goes, he tries again, to say something. But he cannot. Because even though the goddess has left, she has left an indelible imprint on the tongue. She has left him with a permanent stutter. The stuttering Asura, not nice. So, this is what the power is. And where is this power? It's not some power that Bhagavan is just hoarding and saying, no, you can't have it, it's all mine. And I choose who to bestow it on. No. power is yours because everything is one. There's only one source of power, and it happens to be you. And even if you don't know that, you are included in that power. Oh, can I get a piece of this action? Definitely. How? I am prayerful. I am shraddhaful. With shraddha, I reap the benefits of this power. And that prayer is what I need for this pursuit. Because this pursuit is not unlike a lame person attempting to scale a mountain. Is not unlike a mute person wishing to talk. I mean, you know, even with someone who has a stroke, it's like a temporary loss of ability to talk and everything. And they know what they want to say, but they cannot say it because the brain, some blood clot or aneurysm, something has happened. So they go in for speech therapy. All the words they knew they have to learn, and it's very hard work. Correct? Yeah. And that's how preparing for Vedanta is like that. This journey that we are about to take with the Bhagavad Gita to partake of the scent of the essence of the Bhagavad Gita, the fragrance, is not unlike scaling a mountain with the legs tied up or the legs missing. Is not unlike what? Trying to attempt to speak 2 sentences when one doesn't know how. But it is possible. Why? Because my own Shraddha comes back to me. I work hard where? In cultivating the Shraddha, in keeping myself in a prayerful place. And I am rewarded how? By all the pratibandhas, the fences, the defenses and the offenses being taken away, so that I can pursue with this. That's why it is one of the last verses, that the Gita has the power to bless so long as you bring in 2 friends, Shraddha and Titiksha. You bring them to class every day and every time for the next 18 chapters, and definitely she will bless. Definitely she will bless. And this is the promise. This is why this verse is given. Yat kripa, yasya kripa, by whose grace, all these miracles, we call them miracles, but they are just Shraddha blossoming and Karma phala of prayer blossoming. Tam aham vande. Who is that? Paramanandam. Is Paramananda, the ultimate limitlessness, the ultimate joy that I seek to know as myself. I supplicate to that. I surrender to that. And who is that? Madhavaha. Dhava means husband, Lord. Of what? Who is the Lordess, Goddess? Ma. Who is Ma? Who is Ma? Lakshmi. Yes, abundance. Ma also means knowledge. The one who is the Lord of knowledge. Yeah. But here, resources, abundance. Because that abundance is belonging to Bhagavan. And that abundance here suggests both Vairagya as a way to overcome these scale heights, new heights. Even though my legs are tied up by the ropes of insecurity, I scale new heights because I have Madhava with me. Correct? I am one with this Lord. Everything that belongs to the Lord belongs to me. And if the Lord is all might, all powerful, all Shri, then I am included in that. So it's a temporary way to suspend the insecurity that comes, or the lack of abundance that comes during the study. What will happen to me? How will I get a job? What will I write in my resume? I have studied 18 chapters of Bhagavad Gita. Even the first chapter is not starting. How long is she going to take on these dhyana shlokas? When are we going to start? When are we going to finish? I'm sure some people are thinking that. Yeah, and I can't blame them. This is the human mind. This is how people think. And one time when I was teaching Viveka Chudamani in DC, one gentleman came to me and said, "Madam," he said, "What? Madam, yes, he had some piece of paper in his hand where he had made elaborate calculations. And he showed. It has been 7 or 9 classes. 9 classes. And you have just explained, Gocharam, one word. In the beginning mantra, in the prayer to the text, not even the text. So 9 classes for one word. And he has done a word count of the Viveka Chudamani. So by this time, it will be, he said it sounded like a really inordinate amount of time. He said it will be, 8.5 years. With your regular but infrequent visits. 8.5 years. He says, I'm already 62. I'll be 70.5 if I live to that long. What do you have to say for yourself? I said, nothing. Nothing. I said, whatever you are going to get in the Gita is starting now. It's not going to start Dharma Kshetre, Kurukshetre. Who said that is the starting point? As soon as the teacher opens the mouth, the text has started. So much if you are planning to join after the first verse starts. Whether you are in the room or, mind is elsewhere, or you are out of the room but plan to come in, tell me when the first verse starts, that time I'll join. You're missing out on so much fun. You're missing out on just this elaboration. You're missing out on the foundation. This is the foundation. Same thing in Kathopanishad Bhashya class also. How many classes we've had, I've lost track. But, we are yet to touch,
6.
Yeah, we are yet to touch the first word. Even the Om in the Om Namo Bhagavate. We have not touched either in the Bhashya or in the Upanishad. But we are learning a lot. Yeah. So same thing here. It's not that, you have to be, this is where the grace is deployed, is to really relax and leave the verses, not feel worse and worse because the verses are not being touched upon or I'm missing out. All this FOMO has to go. What is FOMO? Fear of missing out. SMS language. FOMO. This FOMO has to go. Oh, when will this verse come? I want this verse. I want Dharma Kshetre, Kurukshetre to come. And then you make your mind into a Kurukshetra right here because you are unable to be present. Kurukshetra comes to the class. A raging battle. Whether to attend now or wait till the first verse starts. This is why we need Shraddha. This is why we need Bhakti. Where this Paramananda which I am in search of, which seems miraculous, but because of whose grace only it is possible, because of whose grace only I can scale scale these 18 chapters, this Everest of 18 chapters, and I feel maimed by samsara, like the Pangu, the one-legged fellow. I feel like the alligators of doubt and despair have eaten up both my legs. I feel disabled. I feel incapable of this towering height of the Bhagavad Gita and what it is, what the transformation that it's promising me. I feel incapable of it. Oh Paramananda, oh Madhava, the storehouse of all resources, including hope, including security, including all my Arthakama pursuits, which I am having trouble giving up in order to focus on this. Help me. Yes, just like you help. Nothing is beyond you. So what to talk of this little tiny brain which doubts? That is nothing for you. I mean, you have done so many feats. This is nothing for you to accomplish. Just 2 brain cells left over, colliding against each other. This is nothing for you. Bring them in line. Let me scale great heights of this knowledge. Let me be an orator of this knowledge. All this is hidden if you want to see. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. How Swamiji teaches is so thorough. It's just, I cannot believe how blessed we all are. What a blessing he is. Namaha.